Hey everyone, hopefully you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel's Finding Value. Been talking back and forth with someone on Twitter. It's about silver and platinum. And I was also listening to a YouTube clip, and everyone always refers to the amount of silver that's pulled from the earth in relationship to gold. That ratio, I'm just going to sum it up real quick, is about a 10-to-1 ratio. It's somewhere around that range. Maybe it's a little lower, maybe it's a little higher. Some say 8, some say 9. Now, should those metals be priced at that ratio? I would say probably not. I don't think it really has that big of it's not that big of a deal. Now, what I think would happen, like let's say we have an energy shortage. I'm going off the deep end here, all right? This is just a thought experiment. Doesn't mean that this will happen. But let's say something happens to energy and these metals become extremely scarce. They're hard to pull out of the earth. What are you left with above ground? Now, that's the question that I really like to kind of ponder, because the ratio of these metals above ground, I think, is what matters. I don't think it's the rate at which you pull it out. It's the accumulation that you have on top of the earth. And you look at the ratios, you can say platinum's the cheapest on a ratio perspective. Silver's also incredibly cheap in relationship to everything else. Those are the two metals that I prefer. And then gold. Now, we don't do as much with gold, so we kind of just stack it away. And then silver, we have inventories of it. We've pulled it out of the ground in copious amounts, but we consume it. We use it much more so than gold and maybe some of the other metals. And then you've got platinum. Platinum is the most energy intensive process to get and to refine, and to get a 1 ounce 0.9995 purity. And platinum isn't found very much throughout the world. I mean, it's concentrated in a few locations, and that's about it. Now, when you look at the above ground inventories of this stuff, silver may be at a 2-to-1 ratio to gold, something on the lines of that, maybe 2 or 3 to 1. And then platinum, platinum's at like a ratio. I don't even know exactly what it is. I was trying to read it one time. I read something that there's only 8 million ounces of investable grade platinum above ground. It's got to be more than that, but it could be. I mean, 8 million ounces, that's about little over 1 year's worth of production. This stuff is ultra rare, ultra rare. So I don't even know what that is in a ratio perspective, if 8 million is accurate. I think silver's probably 5 or 6 billion. Gold's probably 3 or 4 billion ounces. And then you've got 8 million. So if you were to price that, and I'm just doing this as an experiment, I think it's around 8 million. That's what I've read, but I don't exactly know. But divide that by, let's say, a 3 billion. All of the platinum is only 2% of gold. So we'll put it on a different ratio. Let's do that over this way. Gold is 375 times more abundant above ground than platinum. So should that mean that platinum should be priced 375 times more than gold? I don't know. I was just using this as a thought experiment because someone was asking me, it says, am I correct that if silver and platinum are undervalued in ratio to everything, but platinum even more so than silver, and you go 50-50 into them, and they both go up the same percent increase, it would be the same as just going into one, no advantage, right? And that's correct. If they go up the same percentage, they're going to be equal. But when I look at this, think of it as there's two things there's multiple things that are good about each of these metals. Silver is a monetary metal. It's very easy to get your hands on. So if people get scared, they're going to run into gold and silver. And historically, that they've run more so even into gold and also silver. So those two are kind of, we'll call it the preferred areas. Now, platinum, there's just nothing of it. I mean, it's so rare that you kind of get your hands on it now. And if it provides great value to and utility to society, I think that's also a good bet, because we don't know exactly where these things are going to end up. The ratios just tell you how cheap something is in relationship to history. But history has also had very cheap energy sources. So we've been in this abundance of energy, and really it's how easy it is to get out of the ground. Now, silver, I think, is a little bit easier to get out of the ground, probably quite a bit easier than platinum. If you run into energy shortages and you look at the rarity of everything that's above ground and how hard it is to get these metals, I would think platinum would be one of the hardest ones to get. And it depends on where the energy's short as well, because platinum's very concentrated in South Africa. That's where 80% of the platinum group metals roughly comes from. So if they have a problem, 80% gets hit. And there isn't much of this stuff above ground in inventory. Silver, when things go up, you have more resistance to the move because you have more people who own silver. And there's a bunch of other silver products out there, like silverware and all this other stuff, jewelry. Platinum, there's some jewelry and whatnot, but it's just not nearly in the same quantities. So when you go upward with price, there's going to be people offloading this stuff. No one owns platinum in nearly the amount of silver. So if the price starts to move, there's nothing really to stop it. I mean, look at palladium. Palladium went from like $200 to $3,000 over a 20-year period, roughly. Well, a little less than that, 11-year period, 2009 to 2020, 2021. And that doesn't have much overhead resistance, neither does rhodium. Gold and silver, there's a lot of that stuff out there. But conversely, if people have problems, they run to it. So there's going to be a lot more demand, because that's what people are accustomed to, is buying those metals. So what would I buy, platinum or silver or a mixture of both? I would buy a mixture of both. And that's exactly what I have done. I actually own more silver than I do platinum, only for the fact that silver is much easier to get. And what I did is I bought some off Craigslist. I've bought some off eBay. I've bought some from dealers. I've bought some from local dealers. I've gone everywhere. I know what silver looks like. I know how to do a ping test. And what a ping test is you take something of metal like a screwdriver. You put a silver piece on your fingertip and you just clink it. And you'll get a nice ring out of, if it's 100% silver, a nice ring. It'll be ding, like that. It won't be like a dunk, dunk. So that's the ping test, and you could check some of your silver doing that. You don't have to check all of them, but you could check, randomly some. So I got some really good deals in 2020 from that, from other people paying spot price. They thought that they couldn't get over spot going through a dealer, so they just said, here, take it at spot, and the dealer was paying over spot for silver, at least when I called them. So that's what I've done. So again, I think both is probably a good bet. So that's where I'll end it. Hopefully you guys like this clip. Give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and thank you for listening. This is Finding Value.